Hello you guys, welcome to my very first financial reset video. It's December 2, which I feel like is a really fun one because you guys can see a little insight into my 2025 before everything switches up for 2026. Hopefully it doesn't switch up that much for 2026, but it will a little bit, so I'm really excited to be filming this. I don't think that Instagram carousels do my spending in a month enough justice, so I'm finally bringing the long form content to walk you guys through what I spent, what my goals were, how I'm changing my budget for the month ahead, and a few extra little fun underconsumption segments as well. I thought it could be cool to show you guys my impulse list, or I like to call it my pause list, and just some other things that I'm doing throughout the month that are free. So let's get into it. Oh, she's so sweet. So I thought I'd start by walking you guys through my impulse or my pause list, as I like to call it. I have implemented this recently because I didn't feel that like the notes app or writing things down was visual enough. The reason why we're drawn to buy things online is because of how they look. So I started screenshotting or like holding my finger over and saving images and then adding them to a photo album in my Photos app. So I like to wait ideally a week. Sometimes I'll forget that they're even in there, but if there's something that I just keep thinking about, I like to wait at least a week so that I can really assess my feelings towards that item, and if I really want it, or if it's just one of those in the feeling moments that lingers for a few more days but will eventually go away. 7 days is a good enough time frame that I feel like if the feeling fades, you've given yourself long enough, but if the feeling is still there, then maybe it's something you really want. Once a week passes, I'll try and go through a checklist I've developed. One being, do I still like the item? And you'd be surprised how often the answer to that is no. But if I still do like it after that time frame, which happens, I'll ask myself if I already own something similar. Oftentimes, what gets me are usually clothes, and so I'll like a white skirt that looks slightly different than a white skirt I already have, but is it different enough to justify it? No, usually not. So that question kind of helps me think through, am I just impulsively shopping, or is this something that will add benefit to my life? And then if it's something that I do determine will add benefit to my life, the next thing I like to think through is, will it solve a real problem though, or will it create one in the form of clutter or guilt or needing to maintain this item? Because just because something will improve your life doesn't mean that we should forget the things that we're gonna have to do to take care of that as well. So those are some of the things I'll walk through. So my impulse list, this is my first month doing this method, so it might change over time, but I've just added in here all of the things that I came across this month that I thought I need to buy. All of these are from the store Sonderhaus, and I came across these during Black Friday. It took everything in me not to buy these in the moment. I was almost going to do it because I was almost tricked by the whole, when will this deal end? I may not get the deal anymore. But then I thought about it more, and it was taking like $10 off per item, and that's not worth it to me to get that deal and sacrifice the time to really think about, do I actually need these things? So I'm happy I walked away. They're gonna stay on my list because I think they're really cute, but I'm not gonna buy them just because there's a deal going on. The next item, this dress here, I actually did buy. It's from New Flora. I'm not sure if any of you are familiar with New Flora as well, but they do monthly drops and they sell out like almost instantaneously. So I bought this because I didn't want to miss out on getting it, and then it arrived and I decided I didn't really like it. I'm not sure if this is something I would have determined just through looking at it on my list for a week. I didn't like the color against my skin. I didn't feel it really flattered me. So this is something I probably could have waited on. I believe it still is in stock on their website, but the dress I really wanted from their November drop was this one, and it sold out in a minute. So that quickly pushed me over the edge into I need to impulsively buy this thing. It's gonna sell out if I don't buy it in time. So in hindsight, I really want to not be as tempted by these new Flora sales, but if there's something that's really cute like this one that I know I really want, I'll probably do that, but I need to not buy something just to get something anyways, like I did with this dress. We have a pattern here. I really love clothes. They're my weakness. The store Slow Sunday is one of my favorites, and they just dropped this holiday version of their nightgown, which I've been eyeing the nightgown for a while. I love a good nightgown. I also think they're really cute just during the daytime too. But I looked closer at this pattern and it has holly all over it, and I believe reindeer as well. Yeah, there's reindeer on it too. And so when I looked at that, it made me realize this really isn't going to be a seasonal outfit. It's going to be a holiday outfit, and I can't really justify spending $200 on something that's just going to be for a season. I have a Slow Sunday dress that cost about $200 to $300, but I wear it every single week, so I can justify that expense. It's timeless. It's going to last many years because it was made really well, but for something like this, it wasn't really worth it. So I actually think I'm going to go ahead and delete that from my list. Next, you'll see I have 2 quilts here. I found these on Facebook Marketplace. I believe both of them I thought on for about a day, which isn't ideal, but it was better than nothing. But I purchased both and I don't regret either. Quilts are so timeless. I also only took about a day to think on these. In the future, I'd like to think about it a little bit more, but I saw this really cute DIY online about making your own air dry clay and then using this star punch to make a garland. So you do the star punch, you poke 2 holes through it, thread some twine through it, and then you can make like a beautiful garland to put on your tree. So they cost about $10. I'm not super proud of the purchase, to be honest, but not every purchase is perfect. My husband and I have actually been thinking about getting our own ice cream attachment to put on our KitchenAid for quite a few months now. This one has been really thought through, and we finally pulled the trigger this month because we had a really low spend month, and it felt like something that we weren't just doing just because we really thought it through and wanted to. So that was fun. But then I also tacked onto that these ice cream containers, which I should have thought on longer. These were a bit more impulsive. I just tacked them on to the end of the purchase, got them home, and realized I don't need a specific container for ice cream. I have dozens of Tupperware already, so I returned those back. And lastly, I added these Kongs to my impulse list probably 1 or 2 months ago. I've been meaning to for a while because I've needed something to entertain and tire out my lab, who is an aggressive chewer. But we've had a lot of heavy spend months with her just through space surgeries and eye infections and things like that. So I pushed this one off actually for a lot longer than 7 days, but finally pulled the trigger because I thought she deserved having a little bit extra something to tire her out throughout the day. So that wraps up my impulse list. As you can see, I'm not perfect. There are some things that I disobeyed the impulse pause list rules for, but I've found that it's helped me rein in my impulsiveness more and really think through things more. So definitely try and implement if this is something you struggle with as well. Thank you. So now let's get into my budget recap. For any of you who follow me on Instagram, you've probably seen me share my monthly spending, but then also how that compares to my monthly savings and investments a few times. And you've probably seen that my monthly spending is far, far below the 80-20 rule you'll see commonly advised, like the 50 for needs, 30 for wants, 20 for saving. I try and spend less than 50% of my income, and I recognize that this is a huge privilege. I graduated college that in and of itself is a huge privilege. But I graduated college with no debt. My parents paid for it. And then I also found a lovely man who I now married who pays more of our monthly bills than I do. He makes a little bit more than me and was so gracious as to do like a proportional split. So these are two things that have really set me up for success in my adult life, but that's not the entire story. I also grew up in a really frugal household and learned very early on how to discern between things that I need versus things that I want. These are things I've carried forward into adulthood. Ever since I've moved out of my parents' house, I've been budgeting. First, as a way to make ends meet. I literally was making barely enough to pay the bills. But over time, it's helped me to recognize my lifestyle creep and rein it in, even as I've gotten new jobs and raises and bonuses and things of the sort. So I was not saving over 50% of my income when I first graduated college, but over 5 years of developing in my professional career, I've been able to get to that point. So I hope this is inspiration for anyone who is graduating now, or even anyone who's been in a career for a while but has let their lifestyle creep. I hope that me sharing this inspires you to think of the areas you may be overspending in. So maybe in another video, I can dive deeper into the budget I've set for myself in each category and how I've come to find that this is like my good medium level of sorts. But for now, today, I figured I would just go through and show you guys how I measured up against each category throughout November. And before we dive in, it's just a quick disclaimer that these are just my expenses. I am married, but my husband and I keep our finances separate. We've been budgeting together using the template you'll see since we started dating, and we built it to allow us to split our expenses disproportionately, since he was making more money than me and still does. And so we may combine our bank accounts someday, but for now, this is just what works best for us. And we find that it allows us to still keep building our financial muscles separately before just combining everything and it being a complete confusion and free-for-all. We're trying to take slow steps towards learning how to set goals and do things together. So for the month of November, I brought in $6,732 via my paycheck, just through the job I have. And then you'll see I haven't budgeted any income through side hustle income or other income. Side hustle is very new to me. I started this page 6 or 7 months ago, so I'm just now starting to get brand deals, but I'm not incorporating any of this into my goals yet, because I think it really deserves probably at least another year for me to discover what this really looks like. But this month I did make $500 through selling my budgets and doing a few brand deals and selling some affiliate products. So that was really great. And then other income is just a category we have for gifts, or honestly, gifts is the only thing I can think of. We'll put tax returns in here when they come in, but we were gifted $150 this month. Or I should say I was gifted $150 this month, since this is just my portion. Rent stays the same every single month. My portion of it is $684. And renter's insurance, there's nothing here this month since we pay this once a year, but it comes out to $5 a month. Utilities is under because some of our bills are quarterly. But I average $77 a month throughout the year. Wi-Fi always stays the same. Our phone plan usually stays around $45 unless we travel abroad, then it goes up a little bit more. But this month we were just home. So groceries is a huge win for me. This has been over quite a few times throughout the year. Food is one of my favorite things to buy. It's where I let myself have fun. And so it's very easy for this to go over. $250 is just my portion. We split it 30-70, so my husband pays quite a bit more than this. In total, we're around like $850, so I wouldn't say this is impressive, but I have been making an effort to sit right around that $250, so that was a win. In household, there is nothing. This is actually a new category I just added. I used to in the past just put it in groceries, but I'm hoping to start separating out like cleaning supplies and stuff I buy for our house and putting that in here. So I've budgeted myself $20 for that going forward. Pet costs are way over. I've found that to be the case almost every single month since we've gotten our sweet bee. Yes, you're so expensive. We boarded her twice this month. We had to board her over Thanksgiving week and then also a little bit earlier in the month. And then her insurance for the year hit, so that was a good $350 to split between my husband and I. We had to pay for her rabies registration with the state, and I also bought her those Kongs I showed you guys. So pet expenses were quite high. I think I'm going to have to reconcile my expectations in the new year. So you'll see that next month. Health expenses. This is another category I just added in. I think I used to put it in subscriptions. Now it has its own category. I've started going to acupuncture, and the service itself is covered by my HRA, but the herbs that my acupuncturist has been giving me haven't been. So this will be about $60 or so a month. It was a bit higher this month though because I had a bill from last year come in. There's nothing under car payment. I paid off my car earlier this year. I didn't have any maintenance this month, and our car insurance pays out biannually. So nothing in any of those. Gas was a little bit under. I usually just get one take a month. On the months that I get two, it evens out to about $50 over the year. So a little bit under there. And then I've also just added in business expenses. Since I've started taking on brand deals, I've had to start buying some ingredients at the grocery store. And so yeah, this one I'm kind of just guessing right now at $20 per month over the entire year, but this month I went over. So we'll see how that evens out. I think I'm gonna need a bit more time to really understand what that looks like in my budget. Now into our pleasure expenses, as I like to call them. Restaurants. This was the first time in so long I've been under. My husband and I love eating out, and so it's very easy, especially because we like nicer restaurants, to pass 200 really quickly. So I'm really proud of us that we were able to keep this under, especially with a travel month and traveling for Thanksgiving. That quickly pushes us over just because we're doing less groceries, more eating out, but we were visiting family, so it stayed under still. Work lunch, I was right around my budget. I like to assume I'm gonna eat out or get lunch out like twice a month during my work days, and that was exactly what happened. Fitness, I was over, and I need to reconcile this because I'm trying to prioritize my health more. I used to just have a rock climbing membership. I recently signed up for the lowest tier of the ClassPass membership, which is like $19 a month, just because it gets you cheaper entrance to like singular classes at studios nearby than paying them. So I've done that so I can do like 2 to 3 drop-ins a month. And then I also signed up for a gym membership in my area that's $30 a month. So I need to raise this just a little bit. We didn't have to park out anywhere in the city this month. Hobbies and entertainment, I kept quite low this month. I just rented a few Prime movies at home, and we went out to the movies once, but that was a really cheap category. Travel, I have allotted I've allotted myself $750 per month since we got married and eloped and honeymoon this year. That's a lot higher than I normally like to spend in travel per year, but it was an exception. We had a big year, but overall I was able to keep travel low, a lot lower than that this month. We just traveled for Thanksgiving to go see family. So that's the $245. Subscriptions were under, and I need to rectify this one as well. I believe I originally set the $30 when I was including a subscription I signed up for my business. But now that I have business expenses, the only subscription I have is my iCloud storage. So I actually need to bring that one down to $3. Clothes was a huge win for me. I can so quickly spend $200 in clothes. I don't like to engage in fast fashion, but slow fashion, as you guys saw on my impulse list, is a completely different story. So this month, the $4 was for the new Flora dress that I bought, and they don't give you a refund. They give you store credit. So I had store credit from something else I bought and returned, bought this. It was an additional $4 and I'm returning it again. So now I have quite a bit of money just sitting and waiting to spend with New Flora. But overall, I am really proud that I didn't buy even more of the clothing items I thought I needed, and I kept this super low. Beauty and personal care, I just restocked my skin lotion and my body lotion, and I like to buy like a few months worth at once. For home improvement, as you guys saw, I define this as like anything really I buy for my home that's just like aesthetics or furniture or things like that. So I bought 2 quilts, and then we also include like things we need to buy to actually improve our home. So leaf blower, I included the ice cream maker, basically anything we're buying for our home experience goes in here. And that was pretty close to budget of about $200 a month. And for gifts, I just had to buy about a $50 gift for a white elephant exchange I was doing for Thanksgiving with my family, since we won't be together over Christmas. So that was under. And miscellaneous, I didn't spend anything. I kind of just put this in as a catch-all, but I don't know if anything will ever really fall in it. I think really the only thing we've ever put in miscellaneous are taxes we owe. So overall, I spent $1,660 in my survival expenses, which is just slightly over the $1,500 or so I had budgeted, but I was way under in my pleasure expenses this month. I have allotted myself $1,800 and I only spent $1,000. So saved a lot more this month than I had set out to, which I'm really proud of. And then I just have recurring investments set. So I invested $1,083 into my 401k, $583 into my traditional IRA, $400 into a bond investing account, which is pretty new to me. I'm not sure if I love it. I haven't seen great returns, but it's supposed to be a bit more stable, and I'm just trying to diversify where I invest, so I'm gonna keep trying it for a little bit. And then I invested $500 into my general investing account, which doesn't have like an age I need to be to begin withdrawing. It's just an investment account that you can draw out of at any time. So I try to diversify where I'm investing across these because I want to retire early and not have to work until these accounts let you start withdrawings. And then the remainder of $2,178 I'm putting into my savings account. As far as setting up my budget for next month, you'll probably notice if you watch other videos of the kind from other creators that my budget template doesn't really allow for setting like a super hyper individualistic budget for every single month. It's more of a constant of this is what I assume I'm going to spend in this category throughout the year. And I like doing it that way because I find that being able to set such a specific budget each month encourages you to be very impulsive, I guess is the way I'd want to put it. I've tried to track my expenses and my habits over the years and really narrow in on what is my norm month to month so that it's not so confusing. So anyways, that's what I really like to do in my budget. So there's not much tweaking you'll see me doing from month to month. If anything, I'll just know I'm going to go a little bit over in one category, so I'll know to keep it under in some others. But some things I did notice that I do need to change this month are my fitness. I'll probably set that closer to 95 now. My subscriptions need to go down to 3. And then just some of the things I'm going to keep in the back of my mind are gifts. Since it's December, I would really like to keep my overall gift spend throughout the year close to $1,200, so 100 times 12. But it's December, which means it's Christmas, which means I'm going to be going over this month. I don't want to go too much over. I think I'm going to set myself a goal of about 200. But that means I just know I need to spend less in other categories. So I might try and spend nothing as far as hobbies and entertainment goes this month. I'm gonna be so busy anyways with the holidays coming up and DIYing stuff that I already bought in November. So I shouldn't have to spend anything else in this category. And then clothes. I could probably also not spend $200 in clothes, maybe try and keep that closer to $100. I also know that my gas might be a little bit higher this month since we're driving home to visit my family for Christmas, but the benefit is that my husband is coming with me, so it'll be divided by 2. The November goals I set for myself were, first I wanted to lower my clothing spend, which I did, yay. I wanted to raise my 401k investment, which I also did. I got a raise this month, and so I wanted to keep my investment strategy in line with that and not just take it as additional savings, but put it towards my future. No buy Black Friday and Cyber Monday, which I almost failed, as you guys saw in the impulse section, but I stuck to, yay for me, and stick to my budget, which I did. So December, all of those goals are checked off. And for my goals for the month ahead, as I already just mentioned, I only want to buy one nice piece of clothing, but ideally I can keep that around 100, and if I can't, then I'm just not going to buy anything. I want to keep my gifts under 200, which you already heard. I want to spend nothing in either hobbies and entertainment or beauty and personal care to offset the extra money I'm going to be spending in gifting. I'll either do one of these or both, depending on how much I end up spending on gifts. And then again, I want to stick to my budget. That's just one of my major goals month to month, is to really make sure I stick to it. And if I can't, figure out what happened and try and rectify it for the following month. So that wraps up my budget and my goals. And then I thought just one additional fun category to kind of talk about in these monthly financial resets as well would be some things I'm doing for free throughout the month to save money. So a huge one I do every single month is read, and I used to buy a lot of books, but they got to be really expensive. So I've since tried to either read free Amazon books, not like free through Kindle, but actually free Amazon books. A lot of authors will list one or two of their books as sort of like a trial for you to figure out their style, see if you like their books. So I'll often just find those. I didn't do any of those this month though, actually, because I got a library card last month or 2 months ago, I can't remember, and have been finding a ton of books through Libby and Palace and Hoopla. So this month I read You Again, which it's a really popular book, I think, on like Book Talk. And it was supposed to be a spin on When Harry Met Sally, which I've seen, but I personally wasn't a huge fan. And I'm starting to discover this. I really love all of the free Amazon books that I read, but anytime I get a book that's like really popular right now on Libby or Palace, they're almost a bit too like all over the place for me. They're trying to like stand out and wow you and be like so crazy, and I personally didn't like it. It was a bit too like all over the place for me. I think I'm gonna try and get back to doing some of the free Amazon books next month, or do more historical fictions. I think the love stories are really the things that are kind of getting out of hand, and they're like making them crazy. But I did also pick up The Nightingale by Kristen Hanna this month, and I'm starting to realize that I really love historical fiction. But The Nightingale I haven't finished yet. I'm about half of the way through, and it's really good. So highly recommend if you're looking for a good book to read. I think I'm gonna wrap it up there. Thank you guys so much for watching this, and just for all the support you've shown me on Our Simple Sum over the last 6 months. I never thought when I started it would turn into this beast that it has. Honestly, just speechless. So thank you so much for your support of my underconsumption content, and I hope to continue making more and more videos. Bye.